Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Let me ask you something that may feel uncomfortable. Have you ever wondered why a woman who barely knows a man sometimes chooses to sleep with him? You've probably been told it's simple, lust, attraction, or maybe alcohol. But the truth is far darker, far more complex, and it reveals something men were never meant to fully understand. Tonight, I'm pulling back that curtain for you, because when you see what's really happening, you'll never look at female behavior the same way again. Think about it. A woman's decision to give herself to a man isn't always about romance, love, or even attraction. Sometimes it's driven by forces she doesn't even consciously realize. Forces that reach into her psychology, her survival instincts, and even her insecurities. And men who fail to see this truth often get blindsided, left wondering why she vanished the next day or why she clung to him in ways that didn't make sense. The mystery is not random, it's coded deep inside female psychology. You see, what society won't admit is that women have multiple layers of reasons for intimacy, and most of them aren't spoken out loud. On the surface, she may say it's chemistry, but underneath there are hidden motives. Psychological triggers that can make a woman surrender to a man she barely trusts. These reasons aren't dirty or shameful, they're human, they're primal. But if you, as a man, fail to recognize them, you'll keep confusing attention for desire and desire for love. And that's how heartbreak is born. Right now, you're probably replaying moments in your head, trying to make sense of that one night years ago, why she seemed so into you then pulled away, or why she chose someone you thought was beneath her standards. It's time you understood. Women rarely move on impulse alone. They move with subconscious calculations, sometimes selfish, sometimes protective, sometimes even destructive. And here's the uncomfortable part. These hidden reasons are not about you being enough or not enough. They're about her inner wiring, the triggers that whisper to her in silence. Once you understand those whispers, you'll see patterns others don't. You'll stop being confused when she makes choices that look irrational. You'll finally hold the power most men never discover. One hidden reason women sleep with men is validation. And I don't mean the shallow kind of attention she gets from likes on Instagram or compliments in a bar. I mean the deep, almost desperate hunger to feel chosen, to feel desirable in a world that constantly tests her worth. For many women, intimacy becomes proof. Proof that she's still attractive, proof that she still has power, proof that at least for one night a man wanted her above everyone else. Imagine this. She's been doubting herself, maybe after a breakup, maybe after months of silence from men she secretly wished would notice her. Then suddenly you walk in. You say the right words, you make her laugh, you look at her in a way that pierces her armor. For her, giving herself to you isn't just about lust, it's about reclaiming her self-esteem. For that moment, you become her mirror, reflecting back to her the image she's desperate to believe, that she's wanted, worthy, irresistible. And here's where men often get it wrong. You think she slept with you because she's into you, but sometimes you are simply the vessel for her to prove something to herself. That doesn't make her manipulative, it makes her human. But if you confuse validation-driven intimacy with genuine desire, you set yourself up for confusion when she pulls back, when she ghosts, or when she acts like that night never meant anything. What's dangerous about this hidden reason is that it's invisible. She'll never say, "I slept with you because I needed to feel wanted." No, she'll let you believe it was about chemistry, connection, fate. But underneath, it was about filling an emptiness she didn't know how to face. And when the emptiness returns, so does her distance. That's why so many men misread women's actions. You believe the story she tells you, but the truth is buried in her psychology, in wounds you can't see. This is why it's so important for men to stop taking intimacy at face value. Not every night together means she sees you as a future. Sometimes it means she's trying to convince herself she's still desirable. Sometimes it means nothing more than her battle with insecurity. If you don't learn to read this, you'll always confuse being used as a bandage with being loved. Another hidden reason women sleep with men is escape. Not from you, but from themselves, from their lives, from the weight they carry that nobody else sees. You have to understand, women live in a storm of expectations. Be beautiful, be independent, be soft but strong, be wanted but not too available. That constant pressure creates a prison inside her mind, and sometimes intimacy becomes the door she runs through to forget all of it, if only for a night. Picture this, a woman who feels trapped in her own routine, drowning in responsibilities, stuck in relationships that leave her cold. Then you appear. Maybe you're different, maybe you're dangerous, maybe you're simply not part of her suffocating world. In that moment, you don't just represent a man, you represent freedom. For her, sleeping with you isn't just about lust, it's about breaking out of the invisible chains she's been dragging around for years. This is why you see women making choices that seem irrational. A mother with kids at home drawn to a man she knows she shouldn't. A successful career woman who risks her reputation with someone far beneath her status. To outsiders, it looks reckless, shameful, confusing. But to her, in that stolen night, she isn't the responsible mother, the polished professional, or the woman everyone expects her to be. She's just free. She's just alive. And intimacy becomes her escape hatch from the identity the world glued onto her. Men often misunderstand this. You think she's into you because you're special, because you sparked something rare. Sometimes that's true, but other times you were simply the exit door she needed, the reason she smiled differently, laughed harder, touched you like she was starving. It wasn't only about you, it was about the freedom you represented in her mind. And when that freedom is taken, when she returns to the life she tried to escape, the connection fades like smoke. This is why so many men feel blindsided. You think the chemistry was real, the passion undeniable, the bond unforgettable, and yet she vanishes, leaving you questioning everything. The truth is, for her, it may have been unforgettable too, but unforgettable as an escape, not as a beginning. If you can't see the difference, you'll keep mistaking her temporary rebellion for permanent devotion. A third hidden reason women sleep with men is power. Not the power you think, not the kind shouted from stages or written in books. I mean the quiet, invisible power of influence, of leverage, of control in a world where men often hold the cards. For some women, intimacy becomes a weapon, a tool, a way of reminding themselves that they can bend desire to their will. It isn't always conscious, but it's real, and once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Imagine a woman who has felt overlooked, underestimated, or dismissed, maybe by men she admired, maybe by society itself. When she chooses to give herself to a man, especially one who seems above her reach, she doesn't just experience intimacy, she experiences victory. In her mind, she proves something. She proved she could take a man that others wanted and make him hers, if only for a moment. For her, that night isn't just passion, it's conquest. This is why you see women drawn to men of status, men in power, or even men who already belong to someone else. To outsiders, it looks like chaos, but in her psychology, it's about accessing influence, about feeling the rush of holding power she rarely feels in daily life. And if she can walk away knowing she had him, even briefly, that feeling of control burns deep into her memory. Here's the unsettling part most men don't want to admit. Sometimes you weren't chosen because of who you are. You were chosen because of what conquering you meant to her. You were a symbol, not a soulmate. And if you don't realize that, you'll misread her motives entirely. You'll think it was love when in truth it was victory. You'll believe you mattered when in her story you were just proof that she could win. This doesn't make women villains, it makes them human. Men have always fought for status, recognition, dominance. Women fight too, but often in subtler, hidden ways. Intimacy becomes one of those battlegrounds, and unless you see it, you'll keep stumbling into situations where you confuse her power play for genuine connection. You'll give your heart while she simply takes the satisfaction of knowing she could. And here's what hurts most. When a man doesn't recognize this dynamic, he ends up feeling used, discarded, betrayed. Not because she hated him, but because her reason for being there was never the same as his. The fourth hidden reason women sleep with men is longing for connection. Not the surface-level connection of small talk or flirting, but the deep ache that comes from feeling unseen in a world that never truly listens. For many women, intimacy becomes the only place they can feel temporarily understood, held, and known. And this reason is the most haunting because it reveals a truth men rarely notice. Sometimes she isn't giving you her body, she's giving you her loneliness. Think about this. She walks through her day surrounded by people, coworkers, family, friends, yet inside she feels invisible. Nobody asks what she really thinks. Nobody asks what she really fears. She carries her secrets, her doubts, her insecurities in silence. And then, late at night, you meet her. You listen, maybe more than most. You touch her in a way that feels protective, grounding. In that fragile moment, sleeping with you feels less like desire and more like medicine. For one night, she isn't invisible. For one night, she belongs. This is why intimacy with some women feels so intense, so raw, so unforgettable, because it isn't just sex, it's her way of collapsing into someone who finally made her feel alive. And when a man mistakes this for love, he's half wrong. It is love, but not in the way he thinks. It's the love she craves but can't